Hi, I want to talk more about where we left off yesterday in terms of Hinduism. I want to review some concepts and I want to add to them as well. So the first thing worth noting is that Hinduism is one of two Eastern religions. When we're talking about religions, we have Western religions and Eastern religions. And this takes its name because we find these religions primarily in the Eastern Hemisphere. So Hinduism is one of them and Buddhism is the other, which we'll talk about next. Hinduism is found, as we saw in some of the infographics from yesterday, is found primarily in India, but also parts of the Indian subcontinent, which includes Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. Hinduism is what is known as a pantheistic religion. Pan means all and theist means God. So what a pantheistic religion looks like is there is one God. In this case, it's Brahman, but this one God is represented in thousands of different ways. So if you think of what pantheistic means, pan means all. So it's, as a Hindu, you would believe that everything, all things are representations of God. So we have Brahman, which is the supreme being, but Brahman is shown in different ways. Three of the main ways are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. But there are many other gods besides those. These three are what are called the Trinity, because Trinity means three. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are the three main, most important gods in Hinduism. But there are many other gods. Generally, a Hindu will choose one god and they'll worship that god or goddess specifically. So, the caste system. The caste system plays a big role in Hinduism. The caste system is the Indian social class structure. So we've talked before in class about how we have social class structure, maybe shaped like a pyramid, where we have the rich, the middle class, the lower class. So in Hinduism, there is a set of 4 castes. So castes are classes. The Brahmin are at the top. Those are the priests and scholars. The Kshatriyas are rulers and warriors. The Vaishyas are merchants, artisans, professionals. The Sudras are the laborers and servants. And then way at the bottom, the people who do not even count, they're not even considered a caste, are the untouchables. What do you think that means? Well, take it quite literally. It's a group of people that no one wants to touch. They are so low in society, they're not even part of the caste system. And the jobs that the untouchables have are really jobs that nobody wants. Handling dead bodies, picking up animal waste, picking up trash. And they might be homeless, they might be living on the streets, and they're really ostracized from the rest of society. One of the sacred texts of Hinduism is called the Vedas. It's a collection of hymns and other things used in worship. And this is where we hear the story about why the caste system came into existence. Where would a Hindu worship? A Hindu would worship at a temple. And a temple would be designated for a specific god. Hindus believe that the statues are the gods themselves. If you actually Google Hindu temples, or maybe like you look up a name of a specific god like Vishnu, you look up Vishnu temple, Vishnu shrine, you'll see how extravagant these temples and these statues and shrines are, because Hindus believe that the statues are the gods themselves. So the gods, in being the statue, are taken care of quite well. They might be dressed. On a shrine, you might leave food for your god, or food for your statue, you bathe them, so it's not something that can be kept on a shelf collecting dust. It's taken care of a lot. Festivals are held to honor gods and other celebrations as well. Have you heard of yoga before? I know that if you if you've heard of yoga, then that means that you know something that came from Hinduism. Yoga is a form of meditation in which the person attempts to remove himself from the world mentally and spiritually. The point of yoga is for you to really clear your mind, and this ties into some of the other concepts of Hinduism, which are seen here. So we talked about these in the video you watched yesterday. To reiterate here, samsara is another word for reincarnation. If you are reincarnated, you believe that when you die, you are reborn. So you come back to Earth in a completely new body, maybe as a different species. You could come back as an animal. You could come back as an insect. And the reason why Hindus believe that you are reincarnated has to do with your karma. But before I get to karma, know that while reincarnation sounds like it has a chance, it gives you a chance to do things over and make good, in Hinduism, samsara or reincarnation is seen as pointless. So you want to eventually break the cycle of reincarnation. Now, your karma is, I think we can say this, what goes around comes around is a good way to explain karma. This goes back to the golden rule, which we had talked about yesterday in class when we read from the different holy books, like do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So that's this principle called karma. Hindus believe that if you do something bad, essentially something bad is going to come back to you. And for a Hindu, you would believe that bad karma is what keeps you, what causes you to be reincarnated into something lower. So say for example, I'm going to go back a few slides here. Say for example, you are a Kshatriya, okay? You live your life as a Kshatriya, you're a warrior, but you're just a downright mean person. Maybe you go to war and you kill people for no reason, okay? If you were a Hindu and you were doing that, your belief would be, well, that's bad karma. So maybe when you were reincarnated in your next life, maybe you would be reincarnated as a Vaishya, or a Sudra, or an untouchable. Right? So if you're doing something bad in your life, you're going to go down. Now, say you're an untouchable, and you accept your dharma, okay, you don't fight it. You say, okay, I'm an untouchable. Maybe in my past life, I've done something bad. You would then try to do your dharma, like I said, do everything that's expected of you. Then where would you go in your next life? You would hope you would climb up this social class structure. Now, your end result is not that you become a Brahmin. Your end result is a hope that you eventually get to reach what's called enlightenment. And that really means, actually, I don't know, we're not going to call it enlightenment so much, that's more Buddhism. Let's call it moksha. Moksha. So you're hoping that you're going to reach moksha, which means that eventually you stop this death or rebirth cycle and you reach just ultimate wisdom, and then you would die and you wouldn't have to be reborn. It's a lot to wrap your mind around. Now, how do you get to achieve moksha? Well, you have a life, okay? You're born, you're living on earth. You have a dharma. Your dharma is your duty. So maybe your dharma is to be a Kshatriya. Maybe your dharma is to be an untouchable. If you do good, you will receive good karma. You will be reincarnated into something better. Eventually, maybe you'll reach Brahman, the highest caste, and then hopefully you'll break the cycle and get to moksha. Now, on the flip side, if you don't live your dharma, you don't do good, you as a Hindu would believe you get bad karma. You're reincarnated into something worse, possibly an untouchable. Oops, I went too far. Possibly an animal. Uh-oh. I'm breaking all kinds of stuff here. Possibly an animal. And that's seen as something that's not good, something that, you're down here, you're an untouchable. Well, then the cycle starts all over again. Then you need to start achieving good karma so you can work your way back up. So if we're talking again about the caste system, here's some things for you to think about. How do racism, prejudice, discrimination, how do they show themselves throughout the world? Actually, I think I'm going to stop there.